Hello, this is Kellyanne Nickerson. Today we're going to do a demonstration on stinging nettles, how to harvest, identify, and how to prepare them in your kitchen. So this is a good quarantine activity. I'm here in Anacortes, Washington, and it is March 25th, so the nettles are ripe for the picking. I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you. Here are the tools that you'll need for harvesting stinging nettles. You'll need a basket or a bag. You'll need your gloves, and these gloves can be leather. They can have plastic on the palms. I use these gardening gloves that have the protection so you don't get stung. And then you need scissors, or I have little hand pruners here. So here we have Urtica liauli, stinging nettles. You can identify stinging nettles mainly by getting stung by them, right? But in all reality, they look like a mint from afar. They have, same as mint, they have opposite leaves going up the stem. The shape of the leaves are cordate, which kind of looks like an upside down heart. And they have serrated leaf edges, nice and toothed. Then when you look closely enough, you can see the little hairs on the upper side of the leaf and along the stem. And those are what, when you swoosh by the plant, basically inject you with a cocktail of acids that can be actually really healing, but they are also quite irritating. They contain some of the same things that the fire ants have, so they bring a rash to your skin, but they also inject you with some good things like histamine, which folks can use as a allergy preventative. They also have serotonin, which is a hormone that makes you feel content and good. They have acetylcholine, which is a chemical that is involved in most of our biochemical processes in our bodies. So they're packed with a lot of cool things, but they are really irritating. So here's the bright green stinging nettle. It's March 25th, and they're perfect size for harvesting. So when you're harvesting the nettles, you're going to want to take the top is going to be the best. And if you leave some leaves on the stem, that'll allow them to continue growing throughout the season. I'm going to leave the leaves on there that are damaged. If they have bug damage, they're not going to be as good. But I take my hand and I just snip right above, and right where I've cut is where two new leaves are going to begin growing. So it's easy as that. You'll notice that the stinging nettles grow in clumps, and they even grow near these dead stalks. These are actually last year's nettle stems. Nettles are really high in fiber. They are used to make fabric back in the day, along with hemp fibers. So you can actually make bracelets with the stems in the fall. They're really versatile, this plant. The nettles are connected underground with it's called a rhizome. The rhizomes are actually used medicinally as well for men's prostate health. I usually just take the top 2 or 3 sets of leaves. And when I get home, I'm going to show you how to prepare them. They're a very nutritious food. One of my favorites. Surprisingly, I haven't gotten stung yet. I'm wearing pants that the sting can go through. I usually wear jeans. But I don't mind getting stung a little bit, because it's actually good for you. It's good for arthritis, because it brings blood flow to the area. I've got a pretty good supply going here. They're just beautiful. So believe it or not, you can actually prepare nettles without even cooking them, and the sting will not sting you. Just by pureeing up the nettles like we did in the blender, it neutralizes the stinging hairs and allows it to not sting you anymore. So this is a stinging nettle smoothie with the ingredients that I chose. However, you can totally use whatever recipe you like. This is delicious though. Do you like the smoothie? Oh, she needs a spoon. She loves these smoothies. So the other way that you can prepare nettles raw is by replacing them with basil in your favorite pesto recipe. But next I'm going to show you how you cook them and use them that way. So we're going to cook these nettles in the saucepan. So just take your tongs so you don't get stung and your chef knife. Chop them up fairly finely, and then you're going to throw them in the saucepan for putting them into frittatas, omelets, stir fries, basically whatever you would put cooked spinach in, you can cook nettles in, and it's absolutely delicious. Another way to cook your nettles, and another way to preserve nettles actually, is you can take the remainder of what you don't use fresh, like in smoothies, and just right away for dinner. So we're just gonna blanch the fresh nettles. After I blanch them, I'm gonna put them in my Cuisinart and puree them and freeze what I don't use right away. And with those, you can actually put those in your smoothies later on in the summer. But one of my favorite things to do with them after I blanch them and puree them is make stinging nettle cupcakes. I will send you the recipe for that. You'll find it under the video in a link. But once I strain those out, I'm going to throw them in here, puree them, and put them in the freezer until I'm ready to use them. So there's lots of ways to use nettles, and I'll recap them in a summary here in the end. Thank you. All right, so I hope you now feel more confident to harvest and cook stinging nettles. One thing I forgot to mention about harvest season, once the nettles start flowering, they're no longer ideal for harvesting. So just keep in mind the clusters of flowers come out around the stem. They're really small and little hairy, and they also sting. The seeds are actually edible, so later on you can harvest those and saute them with your eggs. They're really good. And just to recap, with the nettles you can make smoothies, pesto, saute them with however you would cooked spinach. You can blanch and puree them to store in the freezer, or then they're ready for pre-made smoothie doses or for stinging nettle cupcakes, which are amazing. And one other food I forgot to mention was soups. So you can throw the puree in with diced onions and add chicken broth and potatoes and cook that as a simple meal, and then puree that up with the emulsion blender. That's a friend of mine, Anna Darer's recipe. So yeah, enjoy nettles. And if you ask people, especially here in Anacortes, if they have nettles, you might find somebody who has nettles that really doesn't have a use for them, so you could potentially harvest there. Just be careful on roadsides and places that are sprayed with pesticides. Also, if dogs pee on your nettles, you're going to want to wash them or just avoid that patch altogether. But yeah, nettles are one of my favorites for nutrition. They're high in protein, iron. They're really, herbalists say, if we don't know what herb you need, we're probably going to give you nettles, because they have just such a wide range of actions: immune support, arthritis, allergies, adrenal support, energy support. So I encourage you during this quarantine to get out, harvest with your children, and experiment on ways to cook nettles or to puree them fresh, because they're so good for you. They're just a little dose of spring, So yeah, spring tonic really, really nourishes the body. All right, this is Kellyanne Nickerson signing off. Bless you all. Bye.